Are you looking to grow revenues, increase profitability, or obtain financing? If so, you came to the right place.
Running a business is all about leadership. How do you become a better leader? Learn from the successful entrepreneurs and business owners how to lead your organization more effectively. That's why we created Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business, to help you succeed with your host, Andrew Frazier, Business Growth Pro and CFO and founder of the Small Business Pro University. Every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're joined by experienced entrepreneurs and business owners who share their secrets to success via Livestream. Also, every Friday morning, we release a new podcast episode. Either way, you will learn about developing your business leadership skills from our roster of highly performing guest experts. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.
Good evening and welcome to Leadership Live at 8:05. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier. Excited to be back here once again talking small business. As you know, each week we have a special guest that, really just spend some time talking about key things that can be valuable for you as a business owner. At the end of the day, your success in business is going to be about your ability to lead your organization in the direction and to the level that you desire. So really what we do here is really help you to become a better leader, sharing expertise, knowledge, and examples of how you can learn to lead your organization more effectively. So tonight, I'm really excited about our guest this evening. Guest is Marcella Gencarelli, and hopefully I didn't mess up her last name, so we're going to call you Marcella G. And, we're just going to hang out. I've known Marcella for quite a while now, and she does great things in the business community. So she's a mover and shaker and really develops relationships because nobody's successful on their own. And you have to build your own community. So that's what we're going to talk about this evening is, how can you build your community to be more successful in business. So I'm going to invite Marcella on. And hey, Marcella, how are you doing this evening?
Wonderful. How are you?
Excellent. So thank you for joining me tonight. Definitely it's always great that you're willing to take some time to share your experience and your expertise with business owners.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
It's been I started in entrepreneurship.
Okay, that's right. So you okay. So you understand the journey a little bit. So so definitely everybody has a different journey of how they got to where they are. And yours in particular is kind of interesting because you've been in entrepreneurship, you've been in banking, you've seen a lot of different things and have a lot of different experience. So definitely look forward to delving into that. But before we do that, take a few minutes to talk a little bit about your journey, how you started, on the entrepreneurial side, where you are now, what you do, and really how you build community wherever you are and with whatever you're doing.
Right. That's very interesting because that really is what it's all about. It's about the capacity and the expertise and knowledge to be able to build community wherever you are. And that had stemmed way back from being an entrepreneur. With my former husband, we had a bakery and a restaurant, but the bakery for a very long time. We were together over 17 years. And the way that we had reached out into the community was by differentiators. We were your local friendly bakery that you would come to in the morning for your cup of coffee, bring something into the office to share with a colleague who was maybe celebrating their birthday or a holiday. And then at the end of the evening, stop in for your bread on the way home, and then remember to order that cake for your celebration coming that weekend. So to be very community focused, we started a parade in town for Christmas. So it was a holiday parade is what we would call it. And we had Santa Claus, we had the marching band from the high school come out, and we would just invite the community, so to speak, into our home, our business home, and have giveaways for the kids. And we gave away stockings. I mean, these were things that we did ourselves without outside sponsorships. It was from our business to you within the community. And it really mattered, and it had an impact, and we were able to see that impact. And then we would take it a step further within like our shifts for, remember bakery, they're open long hours. So you're at 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then you're going until like 8 o'clock at night. So you need to cover for personnel, and you're going to draw from the local community to staff your business. And so we would have like mommy shifts, and we would have different part-time shifts that would be able to overlap. So that created a very positive buzz within the community as well, because we were very community centric in every aspect. So we walked the walk and walked the talk, however it is that you say that, but we did do that. So my journey from entrepreneurship, definitely, brought me into the banking world. It was after, my kids got a little bigger. I was like, I missed a lot of stuff. So I looked at a couple of different opportunities in banking and saw that the retail side was a place that I would really be able to thrive in. And at that time, we were kind of looking at, where the business would go. And so I took a step back to be home a little bit more, but didn't last for long, because home and retail space and banking started to become sales oriented, which is what was the most thrilling side of it. Was community focused, the sales piece, building community within your store, and just put it all together. And it all worked, and it was like magic, and it was wonderful. And it started this wonderful career that I have called home for the last 20 years in banking, at different financial institutions, but I have a lot of the same connections, which is wonderful. So everyone's been able to grow together, which has been an amazing journey. Learned a lot about the relationship piece and as to how important that is. And it's not just about networking, it's about connecting. And it's about what you could do for others and how you can help in so many different ways through your business and what you offer through your business, in banking as well as any area in entrepreneurship, and as well as connecting people. That I learned early on in my career from entrepreneurship as well as from corporate for working in banking, has been connecting people, but qualified connections. And that's how you and I got to know each other, was a qualified connection made by one of your connections.
Yes, definitely. I think we met originally through Barry Cohen.
Yes.
And it was at the Rothman Institute networking event, or one of their events at their campus. And one key thing as a business owner is you have to keep developing relationships, and it's important to develop relationships, be in places where you can meet people and develop relationships, but also have people in your community who introduce you to people that you should know. And so, how do you get into these communities? So I know you've been involved with some chambers, and you've actually helped lead activities and development. Can you talk a little bit about how chambers can be really benefit small business owners? And you got to do more than pay your dues. What else as a business owner should you be doing when you're participating in a chamber and chamber activities?
Oh my gosh. Oh, this is really near and dear to my heart, this question. I've been involved with, I always call it my chamber, Suburban Chamber, for almost 12 years now. And I will always tell everyone, get involved and join a committee. Join a committee, go to an event. Join a committee so you could provide your expertise, connect more on a deeper level with those that are involved in that committee, demonstrate your value in so many ways, and then never show up to an event without taking a guest with you. You will always be remembered for that. Not only will the chamber and those that are involved in the chamber and more, the higher level remember that, but you will make an impact on the person that you bring as well. And I had always led through business development, always led with community first. So I would say anyone, get involved in your local chamber of commerce, become involved in a committee, attend their events, become involved in something that you can show up for. Don't overextend yourself or say that you'd like to do this. Find something. There's lots of different committees, even in small chambers of commerce, that maybe only cover one town. But the community piece and the value that you can add to your local chamber, as well as what the local chamber can add in terms of the value to you, is exponential. It's just, yes, it's an integral part of building your business.
Okay. So yeah, so definitely. And join a committee. So, in certain instances, I guess you could say that the more you put in, the more that you get out of the experience.
Yes.
When you're working in, when you're participating in chambers and other activities. So, you do a lot of events and a lot of chambers as part of your role at Lakeland Bank. And it seems like you have a pretty cool role, and it's valuable because not a lot of people can really do what you do. So talk a little bit about how you ended up in a role like this and how you have developed it to be able to be, more beneficial experience for you to be able to work with and help more business owners and more people with their needs on the banking side.
Absolutely. Client engagement. Client engagement actually became something that when I had originally spoke to Lakeland Bank about just 5 years ago, when it was just a theory. And the theory is tested. It was a theory based on chamber and based on my Warren Women in Business group as well. It was about providing educational and networking opportunities to those that were either doing business with or those that were courting, you're going to say prospects. And it wound up also being a tool to which some of our employees can also attend to sharpen a skill set. And also network amongst those that have become part of my network, as Andrew has. So Andrew knows the value of this, for being able to have spoken for Lakeland Bank as well as presented for Suburban Chamber of Commerce. It all works together in the relationship piece, and it becomes very, very important. And when I meet folks along the way, and those that have attended, an event, and they'll say to me, by the way, you know what? I met someone, even though it was on Zoom, where since the pandemic, we transitioned into a WebEx Zoom platform. I met someone that was so close to where I am, and someone that I've always wanted to meet, and I was able to connect with them because I attended, which was really wonderful. And also with the LinkedIn piece, being able to build connections and be able to connect with the featured speaker. But I want to get back to the original question that you asked me, the value that it presents. It creates a phenomenal value to customers, for prospects, as well as for employees and client engagement, exactly to the word engagement. Where else can you go other than to a chamber, when you have your local bank who's looking out for you and saying, hey, by the way, here's something that may be of interest to you to help you in your business, whether it's marketing, whether it's sales skills, whether it's human resources, whether it's CLE credits for attorneys as well. It's a value add to our client base as well as to our employees.
Okay. Excellent. So, yeah, I mean, definitely, you had the ability to really build out a little bit of a piece of what your organization does and around relationships. And,
Mhm.
you know, it's really key. If you're in business, one of the most important things is for people to know you, like you, and trust you. And that happens much faster and easier when you have a relationship. So when you talked about get involved in committees, participate, that's a better way for people to even get to know you better, like you better, trust you more. Um, but some people aren't used to meeting people and connecting. So what are some strategies for getting comfortable and getting to know people and letting people get to know you?
That's an interesting question. But here's a really easy answer. Sometimes you can connect on something if you've never done it before, or you don't know how to approach it, and you walk into a room and you think, "Gee, everybody knows each other, but I don't know anyone in this room." You could strike up a conversation about food anywhere you go. And I know it might sound silly that I even mention that when I'm speaking from client engagement and coming out of the world of entrepreneurship and banking, but everybody connects around food. Think of all the things in your life that revolve around food. Any celebration, when we would host a lunch and learn, it would revolve around food. Now that we're on, post pandemic, and during the pandemic, we're on Zoom. But prior to that, it always was around food. But who doesn't want to know about the great pizza you had last night, or the great dinner that you had maybe at another restaurant, or even a bakery, come from a bakery? Where did you get, the most pie that you most recently, picked up that everybody loved? Everybody connects around food, recipes, gardening. I will tell you, most recent networking event that I had gone to, there was a huge conversation going on about gardening. And people connected after, and there were follow-ups for follow-up calls for business, all on gardening. So connect on something small, just little tiny icebreaker.
Okay, no, that's a great point, and definitely around Thanksgiving, there's food is the topic. So okay, so really, you don't have to just go and start talking about business.
No,
Is that correct? Is
absolutely no. And in fact, I would say that would probably be one of the things. Let someone else bring that up.
okay.
I would focus on something that's a lot lighter topic, a
Hmm.
soft topic, something fun. That's where you start, and that especially is helpful for someone who may be a little bit like not going to say shy, but apprehensive about either approaching a new opportunity when you're going to a networking event, because you want to stretch your wings. You want to show up. Obviously, you want to build relationships, so you do want to show up places where you do know people, and that you want to keep cultivating those relationships and grow them and deepen those relationships. But at the same time, you also need to expand your world a bit and maybe go some places where you're going to stretch a little and you're not going to know everyone in the room. But there's another little tip at that you should also always take a look at. If you could Google search or take a look at the event that you're going to and who the participants are, because some larger events do let you know who the chair was, who the people that are involved in the coordination of it, and take note of those names and look for those folks when you do go in, and then you'll get right to decision makers too. And along the way, so you can go in and you can just ask for them and say, hey, by the way, great, phenomenal marketing on this event. I couldn't wait to meet the person who put this together.
Okay, excellent. So you brought up something really huge, and something that I talk about often, especially when I'm teaching and training, and that's failing to prepare is preparing to fail, and you don't necessarily just go to an event blind. Doing your preparation, understand what type of event it is. Who do you want to talk to? Why are you even going? And so that's really important. What are some other things you do to prepare before you go to an event, and then also as follow up after the event?
Well, see who else is going, even as an attendee, because a lot of the times you can see that information, especially if it's a LinkedIn invite. You can just, look and see who you know that's attending. Ask them maybe if you can meet them there. Do they know other folks that are attending as well that maybe, they could introduce you to? Know about things that are going on before you go. To your point, it's real important to be prepared. I mean, I'll give you an example. You couldn't show up to just a speed networking event and expect coffee. I mean, that's not going to happen. You got to be ready with your business cards, and you got to be ready to go out the gate, with an elevator speech and make introductions going around the room. So you do need to do your homework. That's key. It looks a lot easier than it is, but at the same time, if you plan and if you focus and if you know what it is that you want to get out of it, and make sure you follow up. There's nothing nicer than having either an email or a text or a LinkedIn invite and a connection saying, hey, by the way, I liked meeting you last night. It was so nice. Whenever you have a moment, if you want to have a virtual coffee chat, because sometimes the virtual coffee chat now works a lot more efficiently for a lot of folks, and you can cover a lot of ground. But don't try to sell them. That's what's one of like the big things. I can't get this across more to people when I do have discussions, within the chamber, is I don't think I've ever sold a day in my life. I've made introductions, I've invited people to attend things, and I've had conversations. But the direct sale with getting right down the brass knuckles and saying, hey, by the way, I have this, or I have a rate, or you can't beat this, or our service is the best. Everybody's going to say they have great service. What's different about you? What can you do differently? But I would focus on the conversation and see where it is that you can add value. Remember that the add value piece is big.
Okay. So adding value, and there's many ways you can add value because different people see value different ways. One book I always like to recommend and really like what they have to say is Dale Carnegie. I'm sure you're probably familiar with them as well. And, he makes it really easy to figure out how to communicate effectively with people. And, one of the, he has all these little stories about, communications he's had with people and sort of how, the communication impacted him. But, one of them talked about how he went to an event and he didn't really know anyone. And he was talking to someone, but he really just let the other person talk the whole time. And at the end, the guy was like, oh, you're such a great conversationalist. So sometimes you don't even have to say that much because other people like to talk. So if you just facilitate them to be able to talk, that might be enough to get them to like you. So, you don't have to put a lot of pressure on yourself necessarily to say the right thing or keep talking. Different people value different things, but if you haven't read that book, I would recommend people that you read it because it's always good. So I'm sure you're familiar with Dale Carnegie as well. Any things from his teachings or his trainings come to mind for you that you employ or think about?
Always ask people about themselves. Their favorite topic is talking about themselves. You are so right in so many ways. Don't fear conversation or think that you have to carry the conversation because you don't. Ask probing questions and ask about them, and people will open up and tell you and carry, like you said, carry the conversation or give you clues into the things that they're looking for, they need, or the things that they value. So yes, that's great advice. That's great advice. And he was an amazing author with a lot of pearls of wisdom.
Yes, definitely. it's classic, and always works not just in business but in life, because your relationships define your success in business, but a lot of times they define your success in life as well. So
Mhm.
there's a crossover. So we've got a question for you from Roberta. So I'm going to put it up on the screen, and we can just go through it, because so people do business with those they know, like, and trust. And sometimes it can get challenging to get to know someone who doesn't return calls or prefers to remain in their network. When should you stop trying to get to know that person? And also, what type of strategies should you do around that?
Well, I will tell you this, is that if it's someone you've met, there will come a time that they will return a call. If you're just like sending information that may be of interest to them, if you've gotten to know them a bit and you know some of the things that are of interest to them, whether it's travel, whether it's time management, it could be so many different things. Golf, maybe they're into sports and they want to know about the latest sports or racquetball, anything, golf. Like I said, if you send them like a little informational bit about it, every now and again, or just drop a line, say, I was thinking of you, wanted to, connect and just wanted to say hi, instead of, always asking for a conversation or asking to meet for coffee or asking to invite them somewhere. Start it off with just little things going on every now and again. Because I will tell you, I had someone work that way with me. And it was over the course of about a year or two. And I had tiny little trails of things every now and again. Well, by the way, I was thinking of you, thought this may be of interest to you. And eventually I watched how they were connecting with others and what they were doing. And I called them up, and they were a perfect fit for something I was working on, a project. So had they not kept that up with a little information that sparked my interest on that day that I was looking for some inspiration, that would have never happened. And that relationship would have never culminated in us doing business together. So I hope that's helpful.
Okay. No, that's a great point. And you talked about follow-up previously as well. I don't know if you're a movie fan, but my wife loves movies. So I think I've seen like every one of them multiple times. And one movie I always like is Wall Street, Charlie Sheen. And big piece of it was follow-up, because he was reaching out to Gordon Gekko forever. And then finally was like, all right, you've been reaching out to me forever. What do you want? How can I help you? So, and that's how it is sometimes. I remember I was in a chamber and for like 2 years, and, was there, talked to people, but like at the 2-year point, they were like, oh, what do you do again? And so like you had to be around long enough for them to be like, okay, well, he's stayed in business long enough. Now let's talk to him or whatever. So, things may not happen on your first try, but,
But if you show stamina and you keep following up and you're showing that you're in for the long haul.
Yeah. And they'll be like, who is this person? Because most people don't follow up effectively. So, if you could follow up in respectful ways, you don't always have to meet, like you said, you don't always have to meet with somebody, but even if you send them a note, leave a voicemail, even if they don't call you back, usually they know you called. So so definitely, hopefully that's helpful. And when you stop trying, it sort of just depends on whether you think there could be a fit in the future. Is you know, does it make, is it, can you bring value to them? If you can bring value to them and that, then, it's really about, working with them to help them see that, but also, they may not need your value at the time. A lot of people have a lot of things going on, and what you do may not be a high priority to them at the time.
There's something else you could do too to nudge things along a little bit. May not get you what you're looking for exactly, but if you know them well enough and you know what they do well enough, and you can make a qualified referral, that pays huge dividends over time.
Yes. I mean, definitely, when you're in business and you help someone make some money, they never ever forget you. Even if it was $10, like as a business owner, and it takes you to a whole different level of importance. So definitely, like you said, if you could refer someone and help them be more successful in business, it goes a long way, because sometimes, many times you have to give before you can get what you're looking for.
Right, exactly. And another thing, going back to chambers for a moment, a lot of times chambers of commerce will have open events and networking events where there's not a fee or not a big fee or small cover charge to get in. But you can take those opportunities and invite somebody. I mean, I've always done this, and invite somebody along to come with you, even somebody that you're looking to work with in terms of business. You're not going to be selling to them that night, but you're giving them this, another opportunity, maybe in an area or something that didn't come to mind for them. Or if maybe there's a guest speaker, that's going to be presenting there, and it might be of interest to them. Invite them to it. Again, it's nothing to do with the sales process. It's about relationship building over the course of time.
Okay. So definitely, those are key. Another question that I think is a follow-up, and a really good follow-up, from Daryl, is, your value proposition is very important in how you communicate it, because, what you're communicating may not be something that they can respond to, or they will respond to, maybe just because you're not communicating the right way, or you're communicating with the wrong person. And that goes back to your marketing and your target market and your message. So I know that when you're meeting with people and you're talking with people, you have different messages that you communicate based on while you're, who you're talking to, and where your relationship is. But when you talk about, your value proposition and communicate what you do, what are, some key things that's important to you, and you think about, when you're communicating with people about
it? The power of connectivity in every which way, of being able to, make connections and be able to, put them in the best possible light in every way. I mean, where you look at, the client engagement, look at Warren Women in Business, look at the 50 leaders over 50, look at the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, there's so many areas to where people can engage. So I would say the highest level is the fact, besides integrity and all the wonderful things we can all say about each other. I mean, Andrew, I applaud you. I mean, look at how you and I have built our relationship over the course of years, and connected, and had made some amazing connections to each other with others, and built just our network. So you can see how that all works. So in terms of a value proposition, you have to zero in on what that is for you, because it's going to be different for you as it is for me, and as it is for Andrew or anyone. So that is something that you really need to have clarified, and clarify that, for yourself, and it will help you.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, so definitely clarifying, and yeah, no, we've been able to collaborate, and it's been great. Um, and it's not all about figuring out how we can do business with each other all the time. It's also about really just relationships can be more valuable than money. Many times they are. It doesn't, networking and everything doesn't always need to end in a sale. It needs to end in a relationship and knowledge. I mean, I learned so many things from talking to people that helped me be more successful in business. So that's always key.
And help you be more successful in business and more successful in life.
Mm-hmm.
In life and in your personal life and in your business life, we may think they're very separate, but they're very intermingled. And any value that you can bring, and when I say value, I mean everything in terms of inspiration, in terms of the educational component, the relationship component, the connections, the collaborations, they're all value propositions, each and every one.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so I mean, definitely there's a lot of different ways to go with that. Time always goes really fast, so we're about 2/3 through. Usually I do a couple commercials in there, so I'm going to take a quick break. We do this through my Small Business Pro University, and we really focus on providing resources to help business owners be more successful and help you gain the knowledge that you need. But very excited. We're in the process of getting ready to launch a new platform that's going to take what we do to the next level. So it's going to take not just the learning and education, but it's also going to combine that with helping you develop relationships with other business owners and key people in the business ecosystem. So we'll be fully launching it by the end of the year. So look out for details, and it's going to be really powerful. So I'm excited about that. So here's a little bit about the university, and then I'll be back with Marcella talking small business. Stay tuned. Do you own your business, or does it own you? Is your business growing, and are you making enough money? As a business owner, there are so many things you need to know to become more successful. Hello, my name is Andrew Frazier, the Business Growth Pro and CFO. I created the Small Business Pro University for you. Small Business Pro University has self-paced, dynamic, multimedia learning experiences created by more than 20 instructors who are business owners just like you. Small Business Pro University will empower you to become a masterpreneur by learning the secrets to creating a successful enterprise, to go from working in your business to working on your business. Take advantage of our strategic coaching program, or just simply choose the courses that you need at www.sbprou.com. We will empower you to thrive and not just survive, and make more money in any business environment. Okay, welcome back to Leadership Live. I'm here with Marcella G, and we're talking small business and really talking about one of the fundamental pieces of being successful in business, and that's really developing your relationships, developing your community, developing your team. And we've talked about some key ways to do that. But if you're starting out, you just coming into business, one of the things that I found is many times if you've been working, you have to have a whole new network on the business side. And, that can be daunting. Where would you recommend someone start to build their relationships as a business owner?
Start with people you know. People, we just said it before, which is really key. People that know you, like you, trust you. It pretty much goes back to that life insurance formula. I don't know if you've ever had anyone in your family who went into an insurance business. They start from the inside out. Any business should be starting from the inside out. And that was advice that I've given to a couple of entrepreneurs, and one set was from family business owners that were looking for a location to start a food business. And they were searching all different areas to where the trend would take hold, take flight, and take off. And then there was something that came up in their hometown where people know them, like them, trust them. And guess what? Business is booming. Best decision they ever made. And the first customers were family. First customers were the neighbors. First customers were people that they knew. And business has grown through reputation, through obviously phenomenal product, and it's grown through consistency, and even through the pandemic. I mean, it's blessings, but to the point you're asking me for a suggestion, you start where you are and go from the inside out.
Okay, no, that's a great point, because if you're already starting with people who know you, like you, and trust you, not only will they possibly be a customer, even if they're just an advocate and refer people to you, because then you get warm referrals. And, there's nothing better than having a warm referral rather than trying to talk to people cold and going from them not knowing you at all to them knowing you, and then figuring out how they can like you and figuring out how they can trust you. So that's huge. And a lot of people don't take advantage of their personal network. They sort of discount it. Well,
here's another example. Look at carpentry work.
Okay.
Now you're going into carpentry business. It might sound rudimentary, but everybody needs a carpenter, like everybody needs an electrician. And you do something in your neighbor's house that's totally wonderful. And that neighbor has folks over for dinner, and they turn around and say, "Who fixed your cabinet?" Boom. They have company over the next following week. "Who did that?" Got another one. So the more that you work within that framework and with that knowledge base, through your providing quality, and to your point, it's warm. It's somebody who already knows, likes, and trusts you. They're going to want to brag about you. They're going to say how. Now, again, if you don't do well, it's going to work on the opposite direction. But we're going on the premise that it's going to be this beautiful, piece that you created, and that someone's going to keep showing up, and they're going to start with those referrals, and you won't be able to keep up.
Okay. No, that's great. And one thing that also brings out is, when you're starting out and early on, even when you're in and you're starting to do new stuff, there's nothing wrong with samples.
Right.
And letting people see what you do so they can actually experience it. I think you talked to me about when you were in the bakery, and you would do some of that as part of growing your business. But I'll let you talk about it. So.
Oh my gosh! Oh yes, people would come in, and I would always have samples out to give people something new. I would turn on, the crock pot, and it would have like cinnamon in it. So when you came in, whether or not we were baking cinnamon rolls at the time, it's just bread, you'd smell these wonderful aromas coming out. But there was a new product and you wanted folks to know what it was, you had to taste it. And that would absolutely prompt additional sales. And when you're at the grocery store and you have the end cap there, like right when you're checking out, and it's like impulse displays, that can create in and of itself within your business, when you do provide samples, an impulse purchase. And an impulse purchase can wind up upping your whole entire sales ticket. I mean, if you want to really talk like the dollars and cents piece and get away a little bit from only just the relationship piece, but good business practice period, is samples pay dividends. Absolutely does, no matter what it is that you're doing. Any type of product that you give a little taste. If you're a coffee company and you have samples of coffee, I mean, you leave it. Spice companies, same thing. no matter what it is. But in the bakery, we did that on a regular basis. Would always sample not only new product, even existing product, to give people an idea of what it was like. Some things are not, sample friendly, obviously, like bread and butter, but any type of, cake, cookie, pastry, things of that nature was huge. In fact, I'll give you a really small, silly little story. We started making like little mini donuts, and they were really small, and you could take a whole bunch home rather than, a dozen in a box. And people would come in, and I remember, them leaving me like with this tray of donuts, like, and an hour later coming out, the tray's gone. Tray's gone. Because when they taste, they'd be like, you know what, I'll take 6, I'll take a dozen, I'll take 10. And that definitely works.
Okay. No, makes a lot of sense. And, even going around and sharing your stuff at different places can help. And, when you talked about being on a committee, depending on what you do, you can show your expertise by, delivering value on a committee in a chamber. Wherever you can demonstrate the value that you can provide, is a key platform and something to look out for. So
that's still a sample, Andrew, when you think of that. It's a little sample of you. So that's a great term, because sample doesn't always have to be a tangible asset.
Yep. And
an intangible.
Definitely. And even, someone will ask me about their business, and if I have a little time, I'll talk to them. I may charge for that normally, but there's if I can help them, then they can see the value that I can bring, so they might want to work with me. But not only that, that's someone else who knows that my value, so they may know people who need me. So things don't happen overnight, but it's interesting how over time, all these little things build up and really can make a difference. So
that's also another way that you could add value to the chamber and to your business, is that when there is an event, if they have door prizes, you could do like a 30-minute complimentary session of whatever it is that you do. If you're a fitness person, if you're a coach, what you can do that. You can say, okay, complimentary such and such. You bring as a traffic driver, and it also gives the chamber something where they have something as a feel good when people come in. It's nice to go home with a door prize. So there's lots of ways to navigate the chambers of commerce and building your network.
Okay. Yeah. No, definitely. So we've got another question from Angela, which I think is good, because different businesses, depending on how your target market is, that's going to impact who you need to connect with. So, B2B is a little different than B2C. So, if you're B2B, what are some key ways to develop relationships that you may need to have to be successful?
Well, on a B2B, you're going to have to look also for collaborations in some ways. And they're also, depending on what the B2B is, it really isn't all that different, because you're still building relationships, because within your network, because I know even for myself with different businesses that I collaborate with or coordinate with, I have to know, like, and trust, and there has to be a framework, or there has to be a history, or at least something where it's come up on the background or the resume, so to speak, on the business side, in order to know how that we can work together. I mean, it's not always relationship based, but at the same time, it is, because you have to look through and look at who they've done business with themselves too, as well, to know before you would bridge that gap to go there. So it would be a matter of referrals, and to say, by the way, I've worked with this company or that company or this company on the B2B side. So it might not always be knowledge on the personal side, but it would be, at least you would be aware of the background. But it still is, so to speak, really relationship based in a lot of ways as well, just a little bit different, and that's circumstance dependent based on the business. I hope that's helpful.
Okay. Yeah, no, definitely that's good. One other thing, when I think about B2B, definitely chambers is a way to get an entree into other businesses. Trade shows
Yeah.
can be a good way to connect with other business owners in your industry. Conferences, the same way. So, but it still goes back to your target market. Who are you trying to reach and how do you find them? Are they golfers? Maybe you need to go golfing with them. There's a lot of different networking and different ways to connect with people. And you can't do them all, but you got to think about, well, who's my target market? Who's most likely to buy from me? And what do I need to say to them? And where do I go so that I can get a chance to say it to them? So, it's the planning and preparation that is so important. So definitely. So another question from Daryl. I think this makes a lot of sense. So he's talking about, okay, working from the inside out. Can you give some examples of how how you've done that within your organization?
Oh, by demonstrating value, giving an example, like even with like cybersecurity. I mean, your cybersecurity department to do like webinars or seminars, or on the mortgage side for homeowners. The company will have like a homeowners seminar to educate, not necessarily to sell the mortgage product. It's not the purpose. The purpose is to educate the whole process of the mortgage. So for working from the inside out, that's a very valuable way to demonstrate how that all works. And then someone else sees it and says, oh, by the way, why don't we make that a panel discussion? And I could add value. So maybe it's a home inspector. So it kind of like grows, so to speak, when you do that. When you're working within a corporate, you're saying a corporate environment, how that would work to how you work from the inside out. But a lot of the times, and with what I'm speaking about in terms of working from the inside out, if I were starting a business as an entrepreneur and not the corporate side, it would be from friends and family. That's a lot different than it is from dealing on the corporate side, from working from the inside out. But you also should do corporate networking as well inside your organization. But that's not what we're about here. We're about the small business side. And on the small business side, what I would definitely tout is local organizations, local chambers, and getting involved even in other. It doesn't always have to be only a chamber. I mean, there's Kiwanis clubs, there's Rotary clubs, there's all different service organizations. And you meet a lot of people through giving your time and volunteering. Andrew, that's not something that we touched on at all today with respect to entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you, the volunteer piece is huge.
Yeah. But you got to balance it, because one thing I find as a business owner is you have so many things going on. Because actually before I was in business, I was on different boards and stuff, but I pretty much cut mostly everything back, especially early on, just because you can't do everything. But as we grow, I've started to do more and more. So definitely volunteering is key. Pitching in where you can, but sometimes it's hard to be able to, as a business owner, manage all your time. A lot of times I would volunteer for like one-time things, because because you don't want to make a commitment that you can't follow through on. But everybody's different. Everybody's at a different situation. But volunteering is another way to build relationships. Another way to do something just for you that you feel is important. So definitely key. So
it's not to do so much and expand yourself and tax your time.
Mm-hmm.
Pick one thing.
Yep.
Even when it comes to, an organization to join to further your business and not just in the volunteer piece, pick one thing and stick to it and just say, this is what I'm going to do. And I can carve out that much time, like an appointment. It's kind of like when you say, I'm going to take a walk today. If I can fit it in, I have 15 minutes all to me, but I'm not going to say I'm going to get that hour and a half in, because that's too much to take away from work. But I can get that 15. And if it winds up being a half hour, wonderful, it's gravy. But I will get that 15, and do it the same way when you do make a commitment to something that's over and above your business.
Yeah, definitely. So, no, I mean, definitely, we touched on a lot of great things. One thing I find is, it's hard for people to really fully be able to digest more than 3 things at a time, or focus on more than 3 things at a time. So what I'd like to do is, as we wrap up, just sort of, have you think a little bit about, as we close out, what are the 3 things that you think everyone should take from this that they can take and start doing tomorrow, within what they're doing and within their business to be more successful? I'll give you a minute to think about it, because I got a little bit to share about my next event coming up. But once we do that, we'll be back with Marcella, and we'll do the top 3 before we close it. Sounds good? Okay, excellent. So one of the key things that we do on a quarterly basis is a power breakfast and conference. So each year, we just did one, I guess, in end of October. So the next one's going to be January 26th and 27th. So people can save the date. And I just secured our featured speaker, and it's Melinda Emerson, the small business lady. And she's, definitely done some great things. She's, nationally, internationally known in the small business space. And, she's going to come up to NJ to hang out with us at the Power Breakfast. If you've never been, it's a great event and activity. And, like a chamber, other networking, an important part of it is networking. So I'm just going to show a quick video. We'll be back with Marcella, and then we'll close everything out. So here's a little bit about what the Power Breakfast is and all about. If you are looking to increase revenues, improve profitability, and or obtain financing for your business, you need to check out the Power Breakfast and Small Business Pro conferences.
My name is Andrew Frazier. One of the things we're here to do is supercharge your day.
Today's Power Breakfast has really been a phenomenal experience. I think it's exactly what business owners need, some true guidance of people who are genuine and really are leading them in the true direction of business growth and expansion.
The Power Breakfast is so important for the entrepreneurial community because it gives the various business people who come together an opportunity to interact and also do some business.
These events, hosted by Andrew Frazier, President and COO of Small Business Like a Pro, will supercharge your day.
All right, welcome back. I'm here with Marcella G, and we're going to talk about 3 key things that you should be taking away from what we talked about tonight that you could put to work immediately within your business to help you become even more successful. So what do we got, Marcella?
We have local chambers of commerce. Get involved. Join a committee. Bring a customer or prospect, someone with you when you attend an event, and do your homework before you go. Be prepared and make sure you bring someone with you. The person you bring will be grateful and love the experience, and the local chamber will adore you as well for being thoughtful to expand their market. So you get a win-win on both. And the next thing is follow up. always follow up. Always follow up with either a thank you note or a conversation, a call, an email, a text. The best way that you've been able to establish that's your best way of communicating, make sure that you communicate and follow up. So I would say that those are 3 things you can do at the gate that are easy, simple, do not take a lot of time. It just takes a little bit of focus, and to make that focus and say, this is what I'm going to do, and consistency. So focus and consistency are going to pay huge dividends.
Okay, excellent. So getting involved, following up, staying focused and consistent, those are key things. So definitely thank you for sharing that. I do want to sneak in one quick question because I know Roberta really would like an answer for this. So she wants to know, why do banks have an open budget in the first quarter? Or do they? And if so, is that intentional?
Well, I cannot speak about banking during the conversation. This is about the client engagement piece. If you have, and I apologize for that. I'm sorry that I can't give a direct answer on that.
Okay. So fair enough. But what you can do is you can connect with Marcella on LinkedIn, and here's her LinkedIn information, and I'm sure she can chat with you freer there, and tell you some secrets that could be helpful. So but thank you for your question, Roberta.
Yes.
We love comments, questions.
Love to have a conversation with you. Please reach out.
So definitely, thanks, Daryl. Always appreciate your feedback as well. Time always flies when you're having fun. So, we're going to close it out, but hang on for a minute, Marcella, while I close it out, and, we'll go from there. So, once again, excited and had a great episode and session talking small business with Marcella. Each week we have a great guest, and hopefully you can take out way valuable tidbits and knowledge that can help you be more successful. So thanks again for tuning in. Thanks again for your questions and your comments. Next week's going to be kind of fun. Next week, old friend of mine from the Navy's going to be here. And the topic is geese poop to dollars. So he's got a tremendous story about how he turned geese poop into dollars, and how you can think more creatively and be creative in ways to make your business more successful. So looking forward to that. We served in the Navy together. He stayed for 20 years. I got out, but he saved the Navy over $1 billion. So this impressive guy and doing some cool stuff. So looking forward to him joining. And each week, we try and cover a different topic and give you different exposure. So thanks again, and just always remember, at the end of the day, the more that you know, the faster your business will grow, and the more successful you're going to be.
Thank you for listening to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.